Hello, friends. Do you think you can survive in the Sahara for at least one day? Well, first watch this video. Subscribe to the channel and like this video. This is important to us. Close your eyes. Listen. There's no hum of air conditioning, no distant engines, no voices, no birdsong. There's only the weight of silence, the kind that feels alive, ancient, and heavy, as though the land itself is holding its breath. Now open them. You stand at the jagged edge where rocky soil meets an endless ocean of gold and fire. Before you stretches the Sahara Desert, the largest and most merciless expanse of sand on earth. It is infinite. It is alien. It is hungry. The sun hangs above like a molten coin, glowing white-hot, washing the dunes in waves of burning light. Heat bends the horizon until it wavers, making distant shapes flicker and vanish in a shimmering mirage. You squint, but the world doesn't sharpen. The desert refuses clarity, as though daring you to step into its territory unprepared. Your breathing is already shallow. The thermometer on your wrist flashes a warning, 46 degrees C and climbing. Sweat beads at your temples, but it doesn't stay. The heat drinks it away before it can fall, leaving your skin dry and tight. Behind you, the expedition truck coughs and rattles, struggling against the rising temperature. This was supposed to be a quick survey, a half-day mission to map old caravan routes, maybe test your endurance gear. You checked the forecasts, the supply lists, everything. You were prepared, but the Sahara doesn't care. The radio fizzled out 20 minutes ago. GPS is dead. There's no signal, no map, no lifeline. When you glance back at the driver's seat, expecting the familiar outline of the truck, your stomach knots. It's silent. Still, you're alone. You step forward, the soles of your boots sinking slightly into soft, burning sand. It moves like liquid beneath your weight, dry and sharp. Grains so fine they find their way through your socks to grind at your skin. The air smells faintly of metal and dust, a strange, sterile scent that clings to your nostrils with every inhale. You lift your scarf higher over your nose and mouth, but it barely helps. Each breath tastes of heat, the oxygen thin and sharp, as though the sun itself has been set aflame inside your lungs. The canteen at your hip knocks softly against your thigh, a small comfort, until you check it and feel your heart skip. Less than half full. You swallow against a throat already parched, the dryness scraping like glass with every attempt. The map you studied this morning flashes behind your eyes. The nearest settlement is nearly 50 kilometers away, a tiny outpost on the far side of these dunes. Under normal circumstances, it would be impossible without supplies. But here it feels suicidal, and yet standing still feels worse. You turn your back on the truck and start walking. Step after step, the desert swallows the sound of your movement until only the faint crunch of sand underfoot remains. But even that seems to fade with distance, as though the Sahara resents you breaking its eternal quiet. You've never known silence like this. On Earth, silence is never absolute. There are always insects somewhere, a rustle of leaves, distant engines, birds calling unseen in the sky. But here silence is a presence. It's not absence, it's weight. It pushes down on you, pressing against your ears, until you swear you can hear your own pulse thundering like a war drum inside your skull. A hot gust of wind stirs without warning, throwing sand against your visor. You flinch instinctively, raising an arm to shield your eyes. The breeze lasts only a second, but it carries something strange with it. A faint hum, low and tremulous, vibrating faintly through the air. You freeze, straining to listen, every muscle locked tight. But there's nothing. Only heat, only silence. When you turn around, ready to return to the truck and reassess, your breath catches in your throat. It's gone, not stalled, not overturned, gone where the vehicle should stand. There's only smooth, untouched sand stretching into infinity. The dunes unbroken, not a single track behind you. You blink hard, trying to force your vision to clear. But the world doesn't change. No outlines, no shadows, no sign anything was ever there at all. Your mouth goes dry instantly. The inside of your helmet tastes metallic, sour. You force yourself to take a breath, but the air feels heavier now, as though you're inhaling molten iron. A wave of dizziness climbs the back of your skull, making the horizon twist and ripple like boiling water. The Sahara is vast, endless, and suddenly it feels alive. For the first time, you understand why locals call it the sea without mercy. Somewhere beyond the dunes, the heat shimmers like glass, and the silence presses closer around you, waiting. Something in this desert does not want you to leave. You stand motionless, staring at the endless waves of dunes, your chest rising and falling too quickly inside the choking heat. The sunlight doesn't just burn your skin, it presses on you, heavy, relentless, as if the entire desert has set its weight upon your shoulders. The silence stretches infinitely, wrapping itself around you like a shroud. For a moment, you wonder if you've gone deaf, until the faint rustle of sand slipping down a nearby dune reaches your ears, soft and delicate, like whispered words carried on the wind. You turn sharply, scanning the ridges. Nothing moves, but something feels wrong. The truck is gone. The tire tracks erased. The familiar landmark that anchored you to reality has been swallowed whole by an ocean of shifting grains. Your brain claws for logic. Maybe you wandered farther than you thought. Maybe the heat bent your vision. Maybe. A thought crawls through your mind, quiet, insidious. Maybe it was never there at all. You shake it off instantly, digging your nails into your palms until you feel sharp pain through the gloves. It grounds you, keeps you tethered to now. For the first time, you check your oxygen levels, 84%. Not great, but better than the water situation. You decide to climb the nearest dune, hoping to spot something, anything, from the top. Every step is agony. The sand behaves like a living thing, collapsing beneath your boots, forcing you to climb 3 meters just to gain one. Your thighs burn, lungs ache, and the air tears at your throat, hot and dry like breathing through fire. The sun, merciless and white, glares overhead. Sweat beads on your forehead, but the desert steals it instantly, leaving salt crusting on your lips. Your skin feels too tight, as though the heat is slowly cooking you inside your suit. By the time you reach the summit, your vision swims at the edges. You drop to one knee, panting, before forcing yourself to look around. And then you see it. Far in the distance, past the shimmering dunes and heat-scorched earth, there's movement, something vast and glinting beneath the sun. Water. Your brain screams the word before you can stop it. A lake, wide, still, and impossibly blue, stretches between the dunes like a miracle carved from light. The surface shimmers, flawless, untouched. For a moment, the pain, the heat, the exhaustion, it all fades. Your muscles coil with sudden energy, your boots sliding on the soft ridge as you half run, half fall down the dune towards salvation. You're halfway there when the ground beneath your boots changes. The sand isn't soft anymore. It crunches faintly, like glass breaking underfoot. You glance down. The grains have shifted in color, glittering pale silver beneath the sunlight, strange and unnatural, as if the desert's bones are showing through. The canteen thuds softly against your hip, reminding you of your dwindling supply. You ignore it. The water ahead is all that matters now. Your visor flashes a subtle warning in the corner of your display. Optical distortion, DETCTD, possible heat refraction. But you keep moving. You crest the last dune, lungs screaming, knees trembling, heart hammering against your ribs, and freeze at the summit. The lake is gone. Before you stretches the same endless expanse of rolling dunes, unbroken, untouched, stretching forever beneath the pitiless white sky. You choke on dry air, gripping your helmet as if the pressure will steady the world. But the horizon swims unnaturally, folding and rippling, shapes rising and falling like waves under an invisible tide. And then you see it. Far away, atop a distant ridge, stands a figure. You blink, wiping sand from your visor, but it doesn't vanish. Someone or something is standing against the pale sun, perfectly still, their silhouette sharp and dark against the brightness. Too far to see details, too far to call out. Your comms are dead anyway. The figure doesn't move, doesn't gesture, doesn't turn away. It simply watches. A cold shiver slides down your spine, alien in the furnace heat, making you forget the sun, the sweat, the thirst. The desert presses closer now, suffocating in its silence. When you finally force yourself to blink, the figure is gone. Not walking away, not fading into the dunes, just gone. Your visor pings another warning. Heat, stress, DTCTD, neural impairment possible. You ignore it and take a shaky step forward, sand shifting beneath your boots. Then the wind stirs again, a low, warm breath crawling along the dunes. And for the first time since arriving, you hear something other than silence, a voice, soft, distant, indistinct, calling your name. The voice fades almost as quickly as it came, slipping away like smoke carried on a wind you can't feel anymore. You stand frozen on the ridge, boots sinking slowly into the burning sand, ears straining for any sound, any clue, any shred of logic to hold on to. Nothing. Only the weight of the Sahara pressing down, a silence so deep it feels like it has mass. But you know you didn't imagine it. You heard your name. You start walking again, slower now, scanning every crest and hollow as the dunes stretch endlessly in all directions. Each step crunches faintly, the sand scalding beneath your boots, even through reinforced soles. The horizon ripples with heat haze, distant shapes warping and twisting like molten glass. Your visor display blinks quietly in the corner of your vision. Heat index, critical core temperature, rising cognitive impairment. Likely your throat aches with each swallow. The air inside your suit dry and metallic. You reach for the canteen at your hip, fingers trembling slightly. The weight feels lighter than before. You unclip it, tip it against your lips. 2, maybe 3 sips remain. You hesitate, then close it. You can't waste it. Not yet. The dunes around you shift subtly with the wind, grains sliding down slopes like slow rivers, reshaping the desert in silence. No landmarks remain. No paths. Only infinite sameness. And then the wind stops. Completely. The sudden stillness makes your skin crawl. Your suit sensors register 0 air movement, 0 convection. It's like the desert just held its breath. Your heart thunders in your ears. The silence presses closer, heavier, denser. Then the sand beneath your boots trembles. It starts as a whisper, a faint hiss far away, barely audible over the pounding in your chest. You turn slowly, scanning the horizon. At first, you see nothing. Then, a low band of shadow forms at the edge of your vision. It rises. A wall of sand stretching kilometers high begins rolling across the desert, devouring everything in its path. The sunlight dims as the storm churns forward, blotting out the pale blue sky with a deep copper-red haze. Your visor explodes with warnings. Sensor alert, massive dust front, approaching visibility, NEAR 0 shelter. Required immediately, you whip your head around, searching desperately for any sign of safety. But there's nothing, no rocks, no cliffs, no outcrops, nothing but infinite dunes. The storm roars louder now, the sound rolling like distant thunder. Sand whips along the horizon, racing toward you in violent, boiling spirals. Your legs move before your mind can catch up. You run. Each step sinks deep into the soft, shifting slopes, dragging you down, eating away at your strength. The storm closes the distance with terrifying speed, swallowing dunes and valleys alike. Your suit's filters engage automatically, hissing softly as they seal off your oxygen intake. Tiny warning icons flood your visor. Air purification active dust concentration. Extreme duration limit, 27 minutes, 27 minutes. That's how long you have before the filters clog and you suffocate. But at this pace, the storm will reach you in less than 5. You crest a high dune, sand sliding under your boots, lungs screaming for air. As you scramble to the top, you spot a shape ahead, something solid. A cluster of black rocks juts out from the dunes, half buried, weathered by centuries of wind. Salvation. You sprint toward them, legs heavy, muscles burning. The roar of the storm is deafening now, an endless wall of sound swallowing every thought but one. Get there. You dive behind the largest boulder just as the storm slams into you. The world disappears. Darkness, sand, noise. The storm howls like a living thing, tearing at your suit, grains striking your visor with the force of tiny blades. Your entire body rattles under the impact, heat giving way to sudden cold as the sun vanishes behind an endless veil of dust. Visibility drops to nothing. You can't even see your hands. The ground vibrates beneath you, deep and uneven, as though the storm carries something heavier than wind alone. You press yourself against the rock, heart hammering, and close your eyes. Inside the storm, you start to hear things, not just the wind, not just sand scraping steel and glass. Voices, whispers, they come and go, faint and broken, carried on spiraling gusts. Half-formed words you almost recognize, but can't hold long enough to understand. Then, just for an instant, you hear your name again. This time, closer. You open your eyes, visor fogged with breath, sand streaking the outer glass. There's movement ahead, vague, indistinct shapes swirling inside the storm, too tall to be dunes, too smooth to be rocks. One of them bends, turns, faces you. You blink rapidly, trying to clear your visor, but the figure remains, fixed and real in the swirling chaos. It doesn't move closer, it just stands there, watching, unshaken by the hurricane tearing the world apart. You freeze, heart pounding against your ribs hard enough to hurt, when the figure tilts its head slightly, as though curious, and then, as you blink again, it's gone. The storm rages around you, endless and all-consuming, but now you're certain of one thing. You are not alone in the Sahara. And whatever else is out, there has been waiting a very long time. The storm finally begins to thin, but the silence it leaves behind feels even heavier than the roar itself. You press your back against the jagged rock, suit vibrating softly as the last grains of sand slide down its surface like tiny shards of glass. You've survived the first assault, but the Sahara isn't finished with you. The wind dies suddenly, unnaturally, leaving only the hiss of your own breath inside the helmet. The sun tries to reclaim the sky, but its light is dull now, muted by a veil of lingering dust. Shadows stretch strangely long across the dunes, soft-edged and trembling, as if the desert itself is still catching its breath. Then the ground trembles. At first, You think it's your imagination, the after effect of exhaustion, dehydration, adrenaline crashing through your veins. But then it comes again, stronger. A low, resonant thud pulses beneath your boots, faint but deliberate, almost like a heartbeat buried under miles of sand. Your visor picks up a minor tremor reading, seismic activity, DETECTED magnitude, 1.2 source. Unknown. You freeze, staring out over the undulating expanse. But there's nothing, no shifting dunes, no rolling dust clouds, no rock slides, only silence, and that deep, rhythmic vibration seeping up through the sand like a warning. Then you hear it, a single distant knock, sharp, hollow, metal on stone. You swivel instinctively, scanning the dunes, heart pounding. The visor shows nothing but endless orange-gold curves melting into the horizon. No movement, no life. But the knock comes again, louder this time. You climb to the top of the nearest dune, boots sinking deep with every step, grains trickling down like liquid gold. At the crest, you stop dead. Below you, the surface of the sand has been disturbed. Long, winding grooves cut into the dune, leading toward a shallow depression, half buried under shifting drifts. The marks are fresh, glimmering faintly in the fading light. Something was dragged here, or something crawled. You switch your visor to thermal scan, your stomach tightening as the display blooms with faint traces of residual heat. But the trail isn't heading away from you. It's circling. Following the tracks, you reach the shallow depression and immediately notice the temperature drop. The air here is colder, denser, heavy in your lungs, even inside the suit. A dark opening yawns beneath the sand, a tunnel carved perfectly round, its edges smooth as glass, descending into darkness. Your suit pings a new reading. Unknown structure, DTCTD material composition. Non-natural warning. Stability unknown. You crouch near the edge, brushing sand away carefully with a gloved hand. The glassy walls spiral downward, reflecting dim shards of light from the visor's lamp. Something about the symmetry feels wrong. Too precise. You lower a probe on a tether into the opening. 5 meters. 10. 15. Then the tether jerks violently, nearly ripping the probe from your grip. Something down there just moved. Your radio hisses softly, an unexpected burst of static cracking through the silence. You freeze, hand hovering over the control pad. Do you copy? The voice is faint, fractured by interference, genderless through the distortion. Repeat, identify yourself, you whisper, throat dry and tight. No reply. Then, leave now 3 words, clear, sharp, and then silence. You check the comms channel. There's no signal. There shouldn't be any transmission out here. Suddenly, the sand at your feet shifts. Not from the wind, not from your weight, from below. The ground bulges slightly, rippling under the surface, as though something stirs beneath it. You stagger back, boots sliding on loose grains, visor locked on the swelling dune. Then it bursts. A geyser of sand erupts, blasting into the air, and for a moment, the world is a haze of gold and red. Through it, you catch a glimpse, a pale shape, smooth and curved, glinting faintly in the fading light. Not bone, not stone, something else. The shape sinks again, vanishing beneath the surface as quickly as it appeared, leaving only silence and disturbed sand in its wake. Your suit pings another seismic reading, louder this time. The ground is moving again, and this time it's not stopping. Far ahead, the dunes ripple one after another, as if the entire desert has started breathing beneath you. The Sahara is alive, and now it knows you're here. Night descends faster than you expected. One moment, the desert burns beneath a white sun, and the next, the heat collapses into biting cold. The temperature drops 30 degrees in less than an hour. Your breath fogs inside the helmet, coating the visor with a thin mist, forcing you to wipe it constantly with trembling gloves. The sand that scalded your boots hours ago now feels frozen solid, crunching beneath your feet like glass splintering under pressure. But the silence doesn't last. At first, it's a faint vibration in the air, so soft you think it's the blood pounding in your ears. A low hum, rhythmic and deep, rolling beneath the surface like a heartbeat in the bones of the earth. You crouch, pressing a gloved hand into the sand, and freeze. It's real. The dunes are singing. The sound grows, layer by layer, a haunting resonance rising from the depths beneath your boots, filling the frozen air with an unearthly harmony. It's not random. There's a pattern to it, almost melodic, vibrating at frequencies too precise to be natural. You switch on the visor's auditory analyzer. Signal DTCTD frequency, 27.3 HC pattern, repeating source. Unknown far ahead, a dune collapses with a muffled roar, sending a cascade of sand rushing down its slope. You tense, scanning the horizon. At first, you see nothing, and then you notice it, a faint, pulsing glow under the sand. It radiates gently, spreading in irregular circles, like something breathing beneath the surface. You zoom in. The heat signature burns bright against the cold backdrop, far too warm to be geological. You whisper to yourself, "What the hell is down there?" The visor doesn't answer. Suddenly, your proximity alarm screams. Movement, fast, circling you at a distance of less than 300 meters. You pivot sharply, lamp cutting across the dunes. But the horizon shimmers strangely in the cold. Figures flicker at the edges of your vision. Tall, slender silhouettes standing perfectly still atop the ridges. Watching, you blink, focus, zoom. There's nothing there. Then, your visor glitches. For half a second, the terrain overlay shows structures scattered across the dunes. Tall arches, broken pillars, shadows of something long buried. When you blink again, they're gone. But the silhouettes remain, closer now. The comms crackle again. A low whisper threads through the static, faint but deliberate. Do not follow the lights. Your throat tightens. Who is this? Identify yourself. silence. Then the singing changes pitch. It climbs higher, sharper, almost frantic now. The glow beneath the sand brightens, spilling pale blue light through the cracks where the surface has fractured under stress. The dunes tremble beneath your boots. A blast of frigid wind tears across the plain, carrying with it particles so fine they glitter like powdered glass under your helmet lamp. It blinds you for a moment, and when the dust settles, the silhouettes are gone. But the tracks aren't. Something has been circling you in the sand. Hundreds of tiny, precise depressions, forming a perfect spiral around your position. You spin around, breathing fast. The glow ahead pulses brighter, almost beckoning you forward, and your proximity alarm screams again. Then the ground beneath your boots caves slightly, sagging inward, and you hear it, a hollow, cavernous echo rising from below. There's something beneath you, and it's moving. The desert exhales beneath your feet. At first, it's subtle, a faint settling, like the ground is sighing under its own weight. Then comes the vibration, stronger this time, rippling up through your boots, into your knees, into your bones. The visor's seismic scanner flashes warnings in sharp red bursts. Subsurface instability, DETECTED, depth, 18 meters hollow, STRUCTURES. Below you, step back instinctively. But the ground doesn't care. A section of dune ahead slumps inward with a muffled roar, pulling sand into a wide, spiraling funnel. Dust explodes upward, coating the visor with a chalky smear. You wipe it clean, heart pounding. And then you see it, the opening, a yawning black maw exposed beneath the collapsing sand, edges framed by something unnatural. Stone. Smooth, cut stone, where there should only be rockless desert. The proximity alarm is still screaming, but you silence it. This isn't time for hesitation. You kneel at the edge of the sinkhole, peering down. There's light, faint and pale, rising from deep within. The same bluish glow you saw before, now stronger, rhythmic, pulsing like a heartbeat. The ropes from your survival pack hiss as they uncoil, dropping into the dark. Your boots slide forward, pressing against shifting sand as you hook into the harness. The descent is slow, controlled. At first, 5 meters down, the world changes. The air cools suddenly, dropping by 10 degrees, sharp enough to fog the inside of your visor. The silence above gives way to something else, a low hum, constant and layered, like thousands of voices murmuring just below perception. At 15 meters, your lamp catches the first sign of architecture. The structure isn't natural. You step onto stone, boots scraping against smooth, black slabs, veined with faint streaks of glowing mineral. Strange markings are carved into the walls, symbols etched deep into surfaces, untouched by human hands for what feels like millennia. Your visor struggles to process them, scanning the engravings as you walk slowly forward. The translation module flickers, but manages to extract fragments. Storm walkers, eternal silence. Do not awaken the sleepers. You swallow hard, throat tight under your helmet collar. The corridor narrows ahead, leading into a chamber. The room opens suddenly, vast, dome-shaped, with high ceilings lost in shadow. A cluster of crystalline formations sprouts from the center, glowing faintly blue, their surfaces wet as though sweating under some unseen heat. And then you hear it, the singing from above, amplified 100-fold here. The dunes weren't making the sound. This chamber was. The crystals vibrate gently, producing harmonic tones that roll like waves through the hollow space. Your sensors spike wildly. Frequency 27.3 Hz amplitude. Increasing source. Crystalline resonance. You approach slowly, reaching out a gloved hand. The moment your fingers graze the nearest crystal, the hum collapses into silence, instant, complete, and unnatural. The silence doesn't last. You hear it before you see it, the faint shuffle of sand somewhere behind you. You spin, lamp slicing across the chamber, and freeze. Two figures stand at the far wall. At first you think they're statues, carved from the same dark stone as the chamber itself. But then they breathe. Their heads tilt slightly toward you, faces obscured by smooth, seamless masks. Long, angular limbs glint faintly under the pale glow. Your visor locks onto them, scans rapidly, and returns a single line of data. Origin, unknown biometrics. Non-human threat level. Undefined. One of them steps forward. The sand shifts beneath its feet, though you hear nothing. No crunch, no scrape, just silence. And then, for the first time since you entered the chamber, you hear a voice, not through comms, not in your ears, but directly inside your head. You are not welcome here. Your breath fogs the inside of the visor, but you don't dare wipe it away. Two figures stand motionless, half shrouded in the pale blue glow of the crystals. The silence between you isn't just absence of sound. It feels heavy, intentional, engineered. You can hear your own pulse hammering behind your ears, but nothing else. Your helmet speakers hiss softly as your suit automatically opens a transmission channel. Identify yourselves. No response. The taller figure tilts its head, slow and deliberate. Its mask reflects the faint glow, smooth and seamless, with no mouth, no nose, no eyes. And yet you feel its gaze pierce you. Your visor flashes warnings: bioscan failure, data corruption, DTCTD, threat analysis, unavailable. Then, without moving, the same voice whispers in your head again, soft, layered, as though multiple voices are speaking at once. You should not have come here. You step back instinctively, boots scraping against the stone. The sound echoes too loudly, breaking the perfect stillness like shattered glass. The shorter figure reacts. Its head jerks slightly, the glow of its mask pulsing faintly, as if registering your every movement. You raise your hands, palms open, forcing your voice steady. I don't want trouble. I'm just trying to survive. But survival isn't what they're here for. The taller figure raises one long, six-fingered hand, and the walls respond. Lines carved into the stone ignite faintly, threading luminous veins of blue across the chamber. Symbols appear in rapid succession: spirals, crossed arcs, sharp geometric patterns. An entire language blooming across the walls like a waking memory. Your visor's translation module tries to keep up, but the words flood too quickly, overwhelming its buffers. Still, a few fragments manage to break through. Seal remains unbroken. Sleepers must not awaken. Sun-buried prison. The words freeze your blood. This chamber isn't a ruin. It's a containment. The humming starts again, stronger than before. The cluster of crystals in the center pulses, vibrating with a deep subsonic rhythm that shakes dust from the ceiling. Your suit sensors spike wildly. Frequency 19.4 Hz vibration intensity. Critical local structure integrity. Failing the guardians step closer, moving with inhuman precision. Each motion unnervingly smooth, as if the air resists nothing around them. You back away toward the rope you left dangling into the sinkhole. But one thought pulses louder than the alarms. If this chamber collapses, you won't make it out alive. You reach instinctively for the crystal closest to you, trying to stabilize yourself. But the moment your glove grazes its cold surface, your visor explodes with warnings. Neural interface, DETECTED, external signal, override the world shifts. You are no longer standing in the chamber. Sandstorms rage beneath a blackened sky. The dunes are burning, waves of fire tearing across the desert, while something vast moves beneath the surface, forcing entire ridges of sand to collapse into pits hundreds of meters deep. And then you see them, not two, but thousands of these masked figures, standing in perfect silence as fire and ruin sweep over the Sahara. Above them, hanging in the sky, something blots out the sun, a shape too large, too angular, wrong for anything natural. A voice weaves through the chaos, louder now, sharper, cutting through your skull like glass. The seal must hold. You jolt back into your body, gasping for air. The guardians haven't moved, but the crystals glow brighter, the chamber trembling violently around you. One of the figures finally raises its hand and points upward, toward the rope, toward the surface. Another whisper, this time tinged with something colder than warning. Leave. Now. You lunge toward the rope, every step clumsy in the weight of your suit, your breath ragged and shallow inside the visor. The walls shudder again, sand sifting from the cracks overhead like smoke drifting through collapsing ruins. The guardians remain motionless, watching. Their silence carries more weight than any threat. You grab the rope and start climbing, gloves scraping against the braided fibers. Your boots kick against the crumbling wall, sending small avalanches of sand down into the chamber below. The faint glow of the crystals pulses brighter, faster, their rhythm syncing with your hammering heartbeat. Halfway up, your suit systems spike. Seismic activity, DETECTED, depth, 120-meter source. Unknown then, the ground beneath the chamber moves. A low rumble rises from beneath the earth, so deep it makes your ribs vibrate inside your chest. You freeze against the rope, pressing yourself close to the wall as grains of sand rain into your helmet and stick to your lips. Below, the guardians finally move. Slowly, deliberately, they kneel in perfect unison, their smooth, featureless masks tilted toward the trembling crystals. The hum shifts pitch again. It's no longer warning you. It's calling something. Your visor overlays flicker violently, symbols cascading in rapid succession, too fast for the translator to keep up. You catch only fragments before the feed cuts. Containment breach imminent, surface integrity compromised, entity displacement probability rising. And then your proximity alarm explodes. Something vast stirs below the chamber. Through the rope's vibrations, you feel it. A slow, deliberate movement deep underground, as if an ocean were rolling beneath the Sahara's dunes. The sensors on your boots record impossible readings. Mass shift DTCTD estimated volume 11,000 M3 structure status. Collapsing the ceiling above you cracks, sending a hail of sand and stone down into the chamber. Then you hear it, not through your ears, but vibrating through your bones. A breath, something breathes beneath the Sahara. You scramble over the lip of the sinkhole, boots sinking into the soft dune sand, lungs dragging at thin, freezing air. The horizon ripples with heat ghosts even in the cold night. But this time, it isn't a mirage. Shapes stand on the dunes again. Dozens now. Tall, thin silhouettes watching from every direction. You spin in place, trying to track them, but they vanish whenever your lamp hits them directly. One moment they're there, the next, they dissolve into smoke and starlight. Your helmet mic opens automatically. A faint, layered whisper leaks into your ears. The seal will not hold. The dune beneath your feet shifts suddenly, collapsing slightly under your weight. You drop to one knee, palm pressing into the cold grains, and feel them vibrating, alive beneath your glove. The entire plane is moving. From behind, you comes a roar, muffled but immense, as if a mountain had rolled over in its sleep. The sinkhole expands, swallowing the edge of the dune you just climbed. A blast of cold air erupts from the collapsing chamber, carrying the fine, glittering sand high into the night sky. Your visor struggles to compensate, mapping the turbulence, but the data stream fragments into static. Finally, 3 words flicker red across the display. Run, or bury. You stagger to your feet and sprint toward the next dune, legs sinking deep with every step, lungs screaming for oxygen that refuses to come fast enough. Behind you, the sand continues to breathe. You crest the next dune, boots slipping on the steep incline, and collapse onto your knees at the summit, chest heaving, lungs clawing at the thin desert air. Behind you, the sinkhole has doubled in size. A massive column of sand spirals upward, devouring the starlight like a living storm. Your helmet visor darkens automatically, filtering out the worst of the glare. But even through the tint, you see shapes moving within the sand column. Long, curved shadows spiraling upward, twisting like coiled smoke. The ground beneath your hands trembles again. Something is waking. Your suit sensors crackle with static, struggling to keep up with the chaos. Seismic magnitude 4.7 depth estimate. Unknown subsurface void DTCTD size. Unmeasurable. Your gloves sink slightly as the sand loosens beneath you. You press down instinctively and feel it, an unmistakable pulse. Slow, rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat. And then the whisper comes again. Not through the comms, not from the guardians, from below. The seal must hold. The voice isn't words so much as vibration, a low resonance that buzzes directly against the inside of your skull. You squeeze your eyes shut, clutching the side of your helmet, but the sound burrows deeper, threading itself into your thoughts until your vision swims with fragments of memory that aren't your own. You see flashes, not through your eyes, but someone else's. The Sahara isn't a desert. Not yet. It's an ocean, deep and blue, filled with coral structures the size of cities. Above it hangs a different sun, warmer and closer. And strange, elegant towers rise from the shallows like bone grown into the shape of mathematics. And then the falling begins. Something vast descends from orbit, smooth, black, silent, blotting out the light, covering the sea in shadow. You feel their panic, not yours, but theirs, the ones who lived here before. Their voices scream across impossible channels, carrying one desperate command. Seal it beneath the dunes. The ocean drains. The towers collapse. The world dies. And you wake, gasping, back in your own body. You crawl to the crest of the dune and freeze. Far beyond the sinkhole, the desert ripples unnaturally. Entire stretches of sand heaving upward like the surface of a vast, buried creature turning in its sleep. For the first time, you see the true scale of what lies beneath. A shadow stretching miles under the dunes, vast and serpentine, coiled in silence for thousands of years. The guardians have followed you. You spot them below, climbing the shifting slopes without disturbing a single grain of sand. Their smooth masks glowing faintly in the chaos. One raises an arm, gesturing sharply toward the horizon, where the dunes begin to fracture. Through your helmet, their silent signal is unmistakable. Leave. Now. But then the sand explodes. A fissure tears open along the base of the sinkhole, wide enough to swallow an entire city block. From it, a cold wind erupts, carrying glittering particles of crystalline dust that coat your visor, your suit, your lungs. Your sensors spike violently. Airborne compounds, unknown toxicity, unverified recommendation, immediate evacuation. You try to run, but the sand shifts underfoot like liquid, dragging you down with each step. Behind you, the guardians move faster now, gliding over the dunes, as if the collapsing earth refuses to touch them. Something moves within the fissure. Not sand, not wind. Something alive. It brushes against your mind like the edge of a thought, ancient and slow, coiling upward through the fractured crust. Awake, you stumble forward, boots sinking deeper into the shifting dune, breath tearing through your throat like fire. The fissure behind you widens with a sound like stones screaming under pressure, and the Sahara trembles as if the desert itself is trying to shake you off its back. The guardians no longer linger in silence. They move fast now, descending the dunes without leaving footprints, their pale masks tilted downward toward the breach. One carries something, a cylindrical object covered in faint glowing glyphs, pulsing in rhythm with the crystals below. The sandstorm roars louder, tearing away your visibility, but you don't need to see to feel it. Something massive is climbing up from below. Through the dust, a shadow rises. At first, you think it's a dune collapsing, but then the sand slides off, revealing a shape unlike anything you've ever seen. Its surface isn't flesh. It's layered, smooth, reflective, like obsidian carved into ribs the size of towers. The skin glimmers under starlight, wet and alien, as though water seeps through the cracks where no water should exist. The sensors in your visor spike violently. Subsurface object confirmed height, 72 meters ESD. Biomass, unknown neural activity. Active it shouldn't be alive. Nothing this big should move beneath the Sahara. And yet, it breathes. A deep vibration floods the air, making your bones shiver under the weight of its resonance. You drop to your knees instinctively, palms pressed into the cold sand, while static burns through your comms channel. The guardians raise their hands toward the sky, their glowing masks turned upward, and the cylinder between them hums in response. Then your translator cracks and hisses, struggling to make sense of the layered tones filling the air. For a fraction of a second, you catch fragmented meaning. Containment failing, anchor protocols collapsing, the sand beneath your hands pulses. Once, twice, 3 times, like a colossal heartbeat, pounding beneath the surface of the world. You think it's warning you, but then you realize it isn't warning you. It's counting down. One of the guardians breaks from the group, gliding soundlessly toward you. Up close, you see faint fractures along its obsidian mask, hairline cracks glowing faintly from within, like burning veins under black glass. It stops an arm's length away and raises its hand, pressing 2 slender fingers against your helmet. Your visor interface overloads instantly, flooding your vision with symbols and raw data you can't process. You see maps of underground tunnels, glowing crystal clusters, and something deeper, vast networks spiraling beneath the planet's crust, converging at a single central point. Then the images stop, leaving one message burned across your HUD. Leave or be unmade. A sudden quake throws you sideways into the sand, knocking the breath from your lungs. Behind you, the fissure blossoms wide like a wound, spitting out shards of stone and molten sand that crystallize midair before raining down around you like knives. The rising shape beneath the desert arches higher, glimmering in the pale starlight, shedding entire dunes off its back. And then, impossibly, it opens an eye. A single slit, vertical, black at its center, rimmed with veins of molten gold. It looks directly at you. And suddenly, you can't breathe. The slit of golden light widens, spilling across the dunes like liquid fire, and the Sahara seems to hold its breath. Every grain of sand beneath you vibrates with a soundless hum, so deep it bypasses your ears entirely and goes straight into your bones. The guardians freeze mid-motion, their obsidian masks turned toward the massive shape, their glowing symbols stuttering across their chests, as though whatever they are, they're afraid. And then the voice comes, not through the comms, not through sound, through you. You are not of this place. Your mind explodes with images you don't understand. The desert isn't desert anymore. It's alive. A lush emerald ocean of towering fronds and rivers, so wide they swallow entire horizons. Cities carved into glass canyons hum with energy, their spires reflecting twin suns above. Hundreds of beings move through them, tall and graceful, their bodies translucent where veins of golden light thread like living constellations beneath their skin. They are not human. They were here first. And then something arrived. You feel the impact ripple through your chest, not yours, theirs. An object, blacker than space itself, slams into the young Sahara. Towers splinter. Rivers boil. The air thickens into choking storms of ash and molten glass. One by one, the golden-veined beings fall, their cities collapsing under the weight of something they dared to unearth. The vision fractures, and you're suddenly deep beneath the Sahara, standing before a gate carved from dark crystal. Dozens of the beings surround it, their slender hands pressed into the surface, their veins glowing so brightly they burn holes into their own translucent skin. They chant without sound, and the crystal pulses with light in time with their dying breaths. A symbol burns itself into your vision, triangular, encircled, threaded with runes you cannot read. Before your helmet, HUD translates its meaning. Sealing protocol, absolute containment. Something pounds on the other side of the gate. Once, twice, then silence. And you realize whatever lies beneath you was never meant to wake up again. You come back to yourself with a violent gasp, collapsing into the sand. The guardians are no longer silent statues. They move in tight, coordinated patterns, their glowing cylinders splitting open into 3 spiraling prongs of blinding white light. One kneels, jamming the device into the dune, and a rippling shockwave spreads outward in perfect concentric circles. Every grain of sand around you stiffens, locking together into glass-like crust beneath your boots. Your helmet barely catches their encrypted transmission, snippets of sound laced with static. Containment integrity at 9%. Lock the breach before ITREMEMBRS. You want to run. Every nerve in your body screams at you to run, but you can't move because the eye is still watching you. It pulses once, like the flash of a distant supernova. The sands around you ripple as though stirred by an invisible tide, and then the voice speaks again. They lied to you. Your vision swims. You stumble to one knee, hands sinking into rapidly cooling crust, and images flood your mind again, burning your synapses raw. The guardians kneeling before the crystalline gate, their hands pulling the seal shut, their masks cracking under immense pressure. And beneath it all, something older than even they are, whispering promises in a voice that eats worlds. One day, I will rise. Your visor's warning systems blare violently, pulling you back to reality. Pulse rate, 164 BPM neural, overload imminent recommendation. Disengage visual contact, but you can't look away. Because the slit of the golden eye widens. The golden eye widens until it fills your vision, eclipsing everything else, the guardians, the dunes, the stars themselves. You can't breathe, you can't think. You are inside the gaze, swallowed whole by something so old and immense your mind struggles to exist alongside it. The voice returns, deeper now, layered, as though thousands of throats whisper at once inside your skull. You dig into the bones of worlds you do not understand, and you call it survival. A deafening crack rips through the desert. The fissure beneath you splits wider, vomiting out heat and shards of obsidian glass. The guardians stumble, their perfect silence replaced by frantic, alien tones you cannot comprehend. The glowing device they planted in the dune fractures, its white light bursting upward in a column so bright it blinds your visor. Then your HUD screams. Containment failure. 82% unstable energy surge. DTCTD recommendation. Evacuate, but there's nowhere to go. Behind you, the dunes have collapsed into a spiraling sinkhole, swallowing the horizon into black. Ahead, the fissure yawns like the throat of a living planet, glowing from within. The Sahara isn't a desert anymore. It's a wound, and something inside it wants out. A wave of raw energy blasts from the breach, knocking you flat. You feel it inside your skull, shaking loose thoughts that aren't yours. A cascade of alien symbols streaks across your visor, locking your body in place with a paralysis you can't fight. You see flashes again, a memory not your own, standing beneath skies of two suns, watching a machine the size of mountains bore into living rock. A swarm of beings, not guardians, something else, their bodies like living shards of crystal, feeding on the light below the crust, and above it all, the sleeper coiled deep beneath the mantle, its surface carved in spirals so vast they seem endless, radiating energy powerful enough to tear planets apart. The vision snaps violently back, leaving you gasping in the cold night air, lungs dragging in sand-filled breaths like knives. One guardian kneels before the breach, placing its cracked mask against the sand, as though in prayer. Another raises a strange spear, driving it into the ground. The shaft unravels into thin golden filaments, that spread across the dunes like roots, sinking deep into the crust below. Your helmet translator finally cracks part of their language, just enough to hear a single fractured phrase. If it remembers, the chain breaks. But the eye already remembers. The sand heaves violently, throwing you back into the air. You land hard, visor cracking on a jagged stone. Through the fractured glass, you watch as the massive shape beneath the Sahara shifts, rolling its impossible weight just beneath the surface. Entire dunes collapse in cascading waves, swallowed whole as the thing stirs. The guardians scream now, a high, metallic sound like steel tearing apart under pressure, and the sound cuts straight through you. The fissure belches light, brighter than the sun, and for one endless second, you see its full form beneath the sand, ribbed plates of obsidian, spiraling grooves lined with veins of gold, limbs folded like the wings of a colossal insect, each as long as a city block, and beneath it all, a core glowing like a captive star. And then you hear it speak again. Not a whisper this time, a command: open. The ground splits open beneath you. The Sahara howls like a living thing. And for the first time in thousands of years, the sleeper begins to rise. You fall forward, sliding down a collapsing dune, sand spilling around you like liquid fire. Your breath claws its way through your chest, tearing every inhale into jagged fragments. But you don't dare stop. The Sahara isn't holding still anymore. The dunes shift and churn as if the entire desert has woken from an ancient dream. Behind you, the fissure blooms wider, vomiting light that bleeds across the night sky. From orbit, someone would see it, a vertical scar glowing white-hot against the black of the planet. But no one will come. The colony up north would see this and seal the borders rather than send help. The guardians are screaming again, not words, not prayer, something raw, primal, a warning, or maybe a surrender. The ground shudders beneath your boots, a violent lurch like a giant lung inhaling under your feet. You dive behind a half-buried stone outcrop just before the dune you're on disintegrates into a whirlpool of sand. Your visor flashes red. Crustal integrity breach DTCTD, depth anomaly. Unknown ESD. Void size 1400 km3 beneath the Sahara. There's no solid rock. There's nothing at all. Only a hollow space so vast it could swallow entire cities without a sound. And inside that void, something moves. You crawl forward, chest pressed to the sand, visor cracked and half blind. The air around you is thick, electric, heavy, with the smell of ozone and burning glass. Ahead, the guardians stand in a semicircle, masks tilted toward the breach. Then the sand falls away entirely, and you see what they've been hiding. The fissure opens into a cathedral of stone, a vast cavern lit by veins of glowing crystal coiling through walls, carved by something not human hands. Entire ribcages of blackened bone protrude from the walls, each one the size of a monorail car, curling upward as if reaching for the surface. They aren't just bones, they're anchors, spikes driven into the sleeper to pin it in place. But the anchors are snapping, one by one. The tallest guardian steps forward, clutching a shard of obsidian carved into the shape of a blade. Its surface ripples like water, glowing faintly with symbols you can't read. It drives the blade into the sand, and for a moment, the entire desert freezes. The quake stops. The breach stops widening. The air goes silent. And then the guardian speaks. For the first time, your translator understands perfectly. We buried it here before your oceans were born. We built your world around its prison. And you came digging. Your throat goes dry. You try to speak, but the words break apart before leaving your mouth. What is it? You finally manage. The guardian tilts its cracked mask toward you. Light leaks through the fractures like dying embers. It is not a what. It is the first breath. The sand surges again, roaring around the fissure as the sleeper below shifts, pressing upward against its ancient cage. That golden eye opens once more, vast and endless beneath the surface, locking onto you like a spotlight. Your visor interface implodes with static, but in that static, a single word cuts through in your own language. Cold, clinical, inevitable, release. And then the dune beneath you drops away entirely. You fall, down into the hollow world, down into the heart of something that has waited longer than humanity has existed. Do you want me to continue with chapter 14? You fall through choking darkness, arms flailing against nothing, lungs locked tight as your body spins weightless. Sand and stone whip past you like blades until, suddenly, the air thickens and you stop falling. For a moment, you're suspended, hovering in a shaft of molten gold light. Gravity no longer belongs to you. Every instinct screams impossible, yet your body hangs motionless above a gulf, so deep you can't see its floor. Beneath you, an impossible chamber opens into infinity. Your cracked visor barely holds together, but even through the fractured glass, you see the walls pulsing faintly, as though the rock itself is breathing. Then from somewhere far below, a sound rises. Not a roar, not a scream, a heartbeat, slow, heavy, older than oceans. As your boots finally touch solid ground, your knees nearly buckle under the weight of silence. Then your visor adjusts, clearing the darkness, and the chamber's true shape unveils itself. This isn't just a hollow space. It's a city. Stone towers spiral upward in impossible arcs, fused with veins of crystal that glow faintly like dying embers. The ground beneath you is carved into sigils and channels, their shapes older than any human tongue. Huge statues of creatures half human, half something else, line the perimeter of the abyss, their masks cracked and tilted, each facing inward toward a central monolith. And there, in the middle of this dead city, rises a structure so tall it almost touches the cavern roof, a black spire humming with dormant power. You feel it calling to you. A sharp hum vibrates behind you. You spin, expecting another collapse. But instead, the guardians descend into the chamber, their movements impossibly fluid, as if the air bends for them. The tallest one steps forward, placing a hand against the glowing symbols carved into the floor. Its cracked mask shifts slightly, tilting toward you. And this time, the translator doesn't struggle. This is the first seal. Here, your kind should never have walked. You point toward the black spire, throat dry, words trembling from your lips. What's inside that thing? For the first time, the guardian hesitates. Its fingers curl tighter around the obsidian shard it carries. Not inside, beneath. The chamber trembles again. A fine rain of sand falls from the high ceiling, spiraling into the light around the spire. Your visor flickers with a sudden cascade of warnings. Energy source DETECTD. Unknown. Origin radiation. LEVLS. Critical recommendation. Evacuate, but you don't move. None of you do. Because the monolith is glowing now, slowly at first, then faster, in sync with the heartbeat below. Each pulse sends a wave of heat washing over you, making the air itself shimmer. Then a voice, no voices, thousands overlapping, rise from beneath the stone floor, shaking the entire cavern. We sleep until summoned. You stagger back, ears ringing, breath quick and shallow, and look at the guardians. Their heads bow low, their kneeling forms trembling. For the first time, you realize something terrifying. They're not protecting you from the sleeper. They're protecting the sleeper from you. You turn slowly, scanning the faces of the cracked statues towering over the chamber. And you notice something you hadn't seen before: chains. Massive obsidian chains coil from the statues into the ground, vanishing beneath the spire, pulsing faintly with each heartbeat. You realize the desert above wasn't meant to bury the sleeper. It was meant to bind it. And now, after millennia, the chains are failing. One of the guardians finally rises, voice distorted but clear. We warned the others who came before you. The sand took them. You, it has spared. You open your mouth to reply, but the entire cavern shifts violently beneath your boots. The pulse beneath the spire accelerates, thundering now, and one of the glowing chains suddenly shatters into fragments of black glass. The sleeper stirs, and the Sahara answers with a quake that nearly throws you to your knees. The first thing you hear is the breath. It's not human. It's not anything that belongs to Earth. It's the sound of something colossal inhaling for the first time in thousands of years, pulling the stale air of the chamber into unseen lungs deep beneath the monolith. Your knees lock. Your body refuses to move. The guardians are kneeling now, their masks touching the sand, their glowing spines flickering erratically, as though their entire existence struggles against what's waking below. One raises its head just enough to look at you, and in a fractured, metallic whisper, it speaks. Do not breathe with it. Before you can ask why, the floor beneath you heaves violently. Cracks snake outward from the base of the spire, spilling streams of golden light into the cavern. The entire chamber pulses like a beating heart, and for a moment, you feel it inside you, matching your own rhythm until you can't tell if you're breathing or the sleeper is breathing through you. Your visor blooms with new warnings, screaming into your ear. Subterranean movement, DTECTD mass estimate. Unknown energy, LEVLS spiking warning. Vital SIGNS, unstable. You rip the helmet from your head just as your nose starts to bleed. The pressure inside your skull building like a storm. Below the spire, something shifts, not quickly, not violently, but inevitably. It's like watching an ocean swell beneath solid ground. Then the voice returns. Not thousands this time, just one, who DARES wake US. The sound is inside your mind, tearing through thought and memory, drowning out every instinct that screams at you to run. The tallest guardian rises and strides toward the spire, obsidian blade drawn, its mask splitting slightly at the jaw, revealing something underneath, a faint light, pulsing in sync with the sleeper's heartbeat. It presses the blade into its own chest, and without hesitation, it kneels and drives the weapon deep, the shard shattering as it releases a torrent of burning blue liquid across the sigils carved into the stone floor. The entire cavern ignites in blinding light. Symbols carved into the ground awaken in spiraling waves, like veins of fire racing outward. Chains embedded in the statues flare violently, burning against something beneath them, trying to rise. The other guardians follow without hesitation, each plunging their obsidian shards into their bodies, offering whatever they are to hold the sleeper down. You stand frozen, unable to move, unable to breathe, as the desert beneath you decides if it will keep its secret or let it rise. Your visor records seismic activity off the charts. Sand shifts far above the chamber, and through the fractures in the ceiling, beams of sunlight spear down into the ancient city. The golden light mixes with the eerie glow rising from beneath the monolith, until the entire cavern looks suspended between two worlds, the one you know and one you were never meant to see. Then the statues begin to turn. At first, you think it's just another quake, but the colossal stone guardians carved into the walls are moving, their heads creaking slowly, painfully, as if awakening from their own millennia-long sleep. Their stone jaws grind open, releasing deep, vibrating moans that reverberate through your bones. Your entire body shakes uncontrollably, heart racing, throat dry, sweat stinging your cracked lips. Somewhere in the madness, your calm flickers alive for the first time since you entered the desert. A single garbled message comes through. Out of there, now. You drop to your knees, hands pressed against the burning sigils, lungs aching for air, and just before the chamber drowns in silence again, you hear the sleeper inhale. The silence lasts exactly 4 heartbeats. Then the Sahara moves. The monolith shudders, as if something vast and alive presses upward from beneath it, pushing against chains forged from stone, light, and sacrifice. The sand above your head collapses through fractures in the ceiling, spilling into the chamber like a golden waterfall. Every grain seems charged, glowing faintly, as if remembering the heat of ancient suns no human has ever seen. You gasp for air, but the oxygen feels wrong, thin, metallic, almost stale. Your lungs burn as if the air itself resists being breathed. Above you, the last of the guardians staggers forward, its spine of light dimming. It raises a trembling hand toward you. The cracked obsidian mask splinters entirely, revealing nothing beneath, no face, no flesh, only an endless lattice of luminous threads, tangled and pulsing like a living map of constellations. It speaks, but its voice is no longer a sound. It's a vibration thrumming through your ribs, straight into your heart. The lock is breaking. From the depths of the chamber, the heartbeat rises again, faster, heavier, hammering through stone and flesh alike. The fissure at the center of the monolith erupts, blasting a shockwave that knocks you backward into the sand. The ground beneath your palms burns cold, freezing and scorching at the same time, tearing gooseflesh up your arms. Your visor sparks back to life, screens bleeding with alien glyphs you've never seen before, translating just enough to twist your stomach. PROTOCOLS, BREACHED, anchor failure, in progress substrate compromise, 96%. You don't understand the words, but you understand the meaning. Something huge is coming through. You brace yourself against a crumbling stone pillar, the weight of the chamber groaning around you, dust raining down like fine ash. And then, deep beneath your feet, something exhales, a soundless pressure that makes your vision swim. In your skull, a voice unfurls, vast and ancient, curling around your thoughts like smoke. 1,000 cycles we dreamed in shadow, and you come now to wake our hunger. You try to form words, but your tongue is heavy, uncooperative. The voice continues, flooding every corner of your mind. You are soft, fragile, borrowed flesh wandering stolen sand. Yet here you stand on the fault line of what should have stayed buried. The golden fissures spread wider, and in their depths you see movement, vast, sinuous shapes like serpents of liquid fire writhing around one another. A pressure builds inside your chest, and for a horrifying second, you feel like your bones are vibrating in resonance with something colossal beneath the world. Then the statues move again, massive stone guardians, 20 meters tall, carved by hands older than your species, turn as one toward the fissure. Their carved mouths open, releasing columns of searing blue light that stab into the monolith's core. The sleeper roars. The sound isn't heard, it's felt. A concussion through your skeleton, like being struck by lightning inside your marrow. The guardians strain, cracks spiderwebbing up their massive bodies as the energy tears through them. They're burning themselves away, sacrificing stone and soul to keep the seal intact for one more moment. But you can see it won't hold. For every chain that tightens, the sleeper pushes back twice as hard. The ground beneath you bulges, rippling like the surface of a storm-lashed ocean. You crawl toward the stairwell you came from, lungs choking on dust and heat, the air shimmering with light that has no right to exist in this world. And then your calms erupt with static and a voice. Human, broken, desperate. If you're still alive, get out. It's breaching. You look up. The ceiling of the chamber fractures. Above you, the Sahara opens like a wound. From somewhere beyond the crumbling stone, you hear a sound you can't possibly comprehend. A sound too deep, too vast, too hungry to belong to anything human. And as the first finger of the sleeper presses through the sand, each bone like black glass shot through with veins of liquid gold, you realize you are standing at the edge of an event that should never have been witnessed. The Sahara exhales. The sound isn't air but pressure, a thunderous, crushing pulse that feels like standing too close to a launch engine. Grains of sand leap into the air in waves, vibrating as though they've come alive. The dunes beyond the monolith shift, collapsing inward like a whirlpool, swallowing the surface of the world. Your ears pop violently. Your visor fogs with condensation on the inside. Every instinct in your body screams at you to run, but your legs don't move, because the desert itself moves first. Beyond the fractured ceiling, the entire sky looks wrong, a dense, swirling column of dust, and lightning spirals upward, twisting straight into the white sun overhead. The Sahara stretches endlessly in every direction, but all you see are dunes deforming, sliding, swallowing themselves whole. The fissure beneath the monolith expands with a sickening, wet sound, like tearing flesh, magnified 1,000 times. A shockwave slams into you, hurling your body into a wall of sandstone. The breath punches out of your lungs in a violent gasp, and stars burst behind your eyes. When you force your vision to focus again, the central chamber no longer exists. It's gone, replaced by an abyss, black and endless, yawning where the stone once stood. From its depths, the sleeper stirs. At first, it's only light. A slow, pulsing radiance climbs the walls of the pit like blood through veins, painting the sand above in hues of gold and deep crimson. And then shapes rise inside it. Vast, impossible structures made of bones that aren't bones. An anatomy that doesn't belong to anything mortal. Its movement defies scale, no matter how far you crawl backward, no matter how much distance you put between you and that abyss. The sleeper's shadow swallows everything. Your helmet screams warnings: temperature, critical atmospheric pressure, unstable radiation. Spike, DETECTD. You tear it off, gasping in the oven-hot air, and feel no difference. The heat comes from everywhere, from the sand, from the walls, from the thing rising beneath you. Somewhere to your left, a guardian explodes, its body cracking apart like glass under extreme pressure. Another one follows. The sound is deafening. Without the statues, there's nothing to hold it back. And then you hear it again. The voice, the one that doesn't pass through ears, but straight into the soft tissue of thought. You woke us. You broke the chain, and now you will carry us. You scream back. You don't remember choosing to, you just do. The sound tears your throat raw, but it's lost instantly beneath the roar of falling stone and shifting dunes. The fissure blooms. What you thought were fingers before are no longer fingers. They're spires, limbs, fractal growths of black crystal dripping molten gold, coiling upward like a crown of knives. The monolith, once so solid, shatters entirely, and you watch chunks the size of houses fall into that impossible void, vanishing without a sound. Somewhere in the chaos, the last intact guardian kneels, placing both massive stone hands over the widening breach. Its obsidian face splits cleanly down the center, and then, in a flash of burning light, the entire statue detonates. For a second, one heartbeat, the abyss goes silent. And then the Sahara screams. The dunes roar like a living thing. An entire ocean of sand caught in violent tides. A storm rips itself out of the pit, hurling knives of glass-sharp particles into your skin. The heat, the wind, the tremor beneath your feet, everything comes together into one unbroken moment of terror. You know now, whatever the Sahara has been hiding, it's no longer buried. The desert dies loudly. The sky above you splits into two colors. Black storm clouds churning with static, and a burning white light spilling from somewhere far below the dunes. The sound that follows is neither thunder nor wind. It is something deeper, older, a sound you feel in your bones before your ears hear it. The Sahara isn't just shifting anymore, it's splintering. Dunes collapse into chasms that weren't there a heartbeat ago. Whole ridges fold in on themselves like paper burning at the edges. And at the center of it all, the abyss awakens from the pit beneath the monolith. A column of black crystal erupts upward, tearing through layers of sand and stone like ribs cracking open. It is carved with thousands of symbols, none of them human, glowing faintly with the color of cooling embers. And then you see them. Eyes, not one, not two, dozens of them, enormous and liquid bright, open across the surface of the crystal. Each eye reflects the sun, and yet seems older than light itself. Your chest seizes. You want to move, but your legs root deep into the soft, burning sand. Every nerve screams, but your body no longer belongs to you. A single thought pushes through your skull, not in words, but in weight. Witness. The sound crushes you to your knees. Around you, the Sahara begins to fold. The dunes you thought were endless are collapsing inward, as if the entire desert is draining into the bottomless hollow beneath the monolith. The air temperature spikes past anything survivable. Your visor reads 67 degrees C before the display fries and goes black. Breathing becomes impossible. Each inhale sears your throat like swallowing fire, and yet you hear something stranger than the storm. A heartbeat, not yours, not the desert's, theirs. It booms beneath your knees like a subterranean drum, slow and impossibly steady, shaking the sand loose from the sky. The ground cracks wide, splitting the dunes apart in jagged veins. From those wounds rise structures, towers made of the same black crystal, spiraling upward like growths of bone. They hum softly, vibrating with an energy that tastes metallic in the back of your throat. The Sahara isn't just a desert, it's a shell. And now it's breaking. The storm reaches its peak. Sheets of sand whip upward like tidal waves, blotting out the horizon completely. The sun vanishes behind rolling walls of ochre and fire, leaving only the glow of the monolith's crown. You drag yourself forward on trembling limbs, closer to the pit. You don't know why, maybe to see it clearly, maybe to stop it, maybe because there's nowhere else left to go. The ground beneath your palms vibrates violently. A voice fills your skull again, louder than thought, louder than fear. You woke us. We do not sleep again. Leave your name, leave your bones, leave everything. Your lungs burn, your lips crack. You realize you don't have long, not minutes, not seconds. The air itself tastes like glass and metal, scouring you from the inside out. You glance up just in time to see the final guardian, the last obsidian colossus, stumble to its knees. One of its arms shears off entirely, vanishing into the pit. It braces itself, spreading its remaining hand over the abyss as if to seal it shut. But the crystal from below tears straight through its chest. For the first time, the Sahara speaks aloud, and it speaks in your voice. The sound detonates through you, rattling every atom into dust. The dunes rise and collapse simultaneously, turning into rivers of molten sand. You fall forward onto your palms, too weak to stand, feeling your skin blister in the heat. You know you can't outrun this. No one can. You reach for your canteen, half buried beside you, and realize it's empty. Your fingers scrape across its scorched surface before the wind tears it from your hand entirely, hurling it into the roaring abyss. Your chest heaves once, twice, and then stillness. Above you, the entire desert glows red, as if lit from below by a furnace older than the sun. For one fragile moment, you glimpse it fully, the thing beneath the Sahara, the truth buried for millions of years, a structure the size of a continent, built of bones and black crystal, flexing slowly as if waking from a long, dreamless sleep. You understand now. You were never meant to survive this place. The Sahara was not just a desert, it was a prison, and tonight it breaks.